Good afternoon. Today we are going to discuss about comparison and contrast pressure group and social movement between China and Malaysia. So before getting to know more about the issue in these two countries, we need to know about the significant role of pressure group and social movement in constructing political connection and political opportunity. Their activism influences public policies, and its role is very important for the administrative, legislative, executive, bureaucratic, and political system. They are like a living public behind the parties, and their role is indirect yet effective. So, I would like to raise a few examples of pressure groups. The first one is interest articulations that can bring the demands and needs of the people to the notice of decision makers. The process by which the claims of the people get crystallized and articulated is called interest articulation. The second one is agents of political socialization that are the agents of political socialization insofar as they influence the orientation of the people toward the political process, and they play the vital role as two-way communication links between the people and the governments. The third one is NGOs that play the most important role in mobilizing the political system in the country. For example, in China, many NGOs offer much needed service in healthcare, education, disaster relief, and other areas that local governments are unable or unwilling to provide. Predictably, a number of these NGOs and social activists have moved from simply providing services to advocating for the groups they serve, including displaced peasants, exploited migrants and factory workers, and those seeking legal redress from corrupt government officials, and it might be a motivation for oppression groups in China to demand more from the government that could create a chaos in this country. Moreover, social media is also a platform that China's Communist Party leader, who recognize that the country's capacity to compete in the 21st century require embracing the technology of this digital age. This explosion of social media have also given Chinese activists no means to publicize government corruption. The popular microblogging service like Weibo offer a relatively open venue for Chinese to express their opinion and share uncensored news and rumors. This capacity to disseminate a wide range of content quickly and easily from mobile phone made the service hugely popular and connected people across China in new but, from the party's perspective, potentially dangerous way, and it remains to be seen. Malaysia, the Arab Spring and Occupy Wall Street are not the only media-driven civic movement that have advocated for social and political reform. One of the key factors to such uninterrupted ruling by one party is the widely regarded unbalanced electoral processes. For years, democracy has suffered from interest. In 2007, Malaysians took the street to call for a reform of Malaysia's electoral process. There has been an ongoing debate about the effectiveness of digital activism in making real changes. The weak ties on social media can hardly translate the collective action into passionate engagement and effective movement. In the Bursies movement, we found that the network of weak ties on social media plays almost nothing for the people to maintain their network on Facebook, when the next campaign happens, the people can be activated almost instantly, and many of the grassroots leaders who coordinate the global movement have never met each other before. They use Facebook and WhatsApp to exchange notes, brainstorm, and make decisions. The Bersih campaign in Malaysia is also strongly supported by the International Network of Malaysian Diaspora.
Pressure group and social movement can also lead to both opportunity and challenges for the government as they affect on the public policy, advocacy organization, culture, and as well as participants. The opportunity that the pressure group can influence to are: firstly, about to influence the government to keep responsive to the demand and wishes from the community by having information provided from pressure group in order to help in preventing parliament from passing any public law and would be incomprehensible to the vast majority of people. Secondly, about to use the appetite to provide the government with important information and may offer an alternative source of advice. They are well versed and well organized about any particular topics or interests, and this means that their effort must be both persuasive and factual, enabling for improved legislature. Pressure group can describe their purpose and what their members require, as well as how the law can reflect this. They contribute to the improvement and accessibility of legislature. Thirdly, about to promote the opportunity for political participants for citizens without joining any political party, and also acting out as the minority community that they will not be able to express themselves by following the democratic rights, such as the freedom of speech. Forming a group boosts their visibility and raises the likelihood that Parliament will consider them when writing law. They can also assist in raising public awareness of the challenges that the minority group faces. This helps to maintain the legislature process democratic by ensuring that everyone's voice, no matter how tiny, is heard. On the other hand, however, the challenges of the pressure group are: firstly, they may be able to represent as the powerful minority forces in society and exert political influence to the detriment the majority society. They can sometimes give a minority opinion disproportionate emphasis and influence. It can be beneficial since it is so that minorities have a voice in the legislative process, which is essential for democracy, but it can be detrimental if it overshadows the rest of the population. Some pressure groups with minority viewpoint in particular have a lot of power and money, which they utilize to advance their own causes. This provides them substantially more influence over the legislative process than the cross-section model would predict. Secondly, the action of the pressure group can cause hardship for the community in general. Some pressure groups expose opinions that are offensive to the majority of people. Because they are offensive, they frequently receive disproportionate media attention, which destroys public opinion. Others may find their activation distracting, causing tension within a group. Thirdly, some of the pressure groups are not democratic in themselves. They won't listen to other opinions. They usually only care about their opinion and their interests, and consider the other opinion as wrong. This is one of the more common child level of pressure group, is that they are biased in favor of their own interests. This could be due to them prioritizing their own interests, causing other equally essential issues to be overlooked. Parliament will never be able to pass legislation that benefit our pressure group. So which should they choose? It is unclear who they should trust if they receive contracting counsel, especially if pressure group provide an effective version of event in order to gain parliament support. As a result, the lawmaking process suffers because the parliament may receive good advice that fail to reflect the true nature of the issue at hand. For instance, in Malaysia, the pressure group can influence into political of their country because they are upholding and practice the democratic rights, since they have the election once in every 5 years, and in order to win the favor from the citizen, the government of Malaysia have to adjust their policy by favor and put the citizen demand first. In contrast to China, pressure group and social movement will not be able to influence the political and policy making of their government unless they are an external actor such as NGO. Because the government of China is one-party state, so they don't have to favor anyone for their policy-making process. In the case of NGO in China, although the members of the group and their members are in repeat growth for more than 20 years, most grassroots organizations are severely understaffed. Thus, due to the lack resources that China NGO typically encounter, access suspicion towards social or civil society may be denied of access of low degree of incest that was expected to be reported by the NGO in the policy making.
Comparing and contrasting pressure group and social movement between China and Malaysia, we can see that there are some differences and similarities of the significant role of it in constructing the political connections and political opportunities. In the meantime, we have also understood the opportunities and the challenges of its effect on public policy, advocacy organizations, cultures, and participants, in which the outcome will be able to provide the pros and cons to the governments and communities in political opportunities and situations. However, in order to change some negative effects or the loophole, we can suggest some future directions of pressure group and social movement in Malaysia and China. For China, pressure groups such as NGOs should be carrying out activities on a limited scale. NGOs need to find a partner in the government organizations as there is a political acceptance that varies from case to case. Such oppositions make it hard to find common cause with other campaigns that would increase pressure on the government. For instance, there is clear evidence that environmental NGOs are expanding the political space within which they operate. This range from the relatively safe issue of air pollution to the more politically sensitive contesting of big hydroelectric dam projects to polluted water systems, contaminated soils, excessive noise, or tainted drinking water. As environmental politics could be helping to be a more active civil society. This demonstrates that the central government is surrendering some political space to combat environmental degradation. For social movement, they need to get beyond the help of external factors, such as external states, to assist in protest seeking the rights for their interests. As in China policy, the main one are to contain collective actions through prohibiting any unofficial national associations, punishing the organizer of collective actions, and disciplining local officials who are corrupt or incapable of controlling social protests. Regarding this, we can see that rural social protests and movements are not able to form a national political movement in which it is giving the challenges to the protesters to defend their interests and to influence government policies that affect them. However, with the help of external states, it could assist social movements to achieve or pressure the government to implement their opinions on any issues in economics, social, and cultural contexts to defend their interests. On the other hand, in Malaysia's pressure group and social movement, they still have been struggling to achieve their goal, although they have good public support. For instance, versus Malaysia's or Coalition for Clean and Fair Election is a Malaysian-based pressure group that seeks to reform the current electoral system in Malaysia to ensure free, clean, and fair elections. However, this pressure group has made some challenges from the governments. For instance, during the protest of demanding reform of the electoral system in 2011, though the protest was largely peaceful, the government made the demonstration with massive force, arresting thousands of protesters. So, in order to achieve long-term sustainability and increase democratic decision-making, it is to act independently or have all the freedom to do so. And in order to achieve it, they can decide to engage with the developing world to identify the movement and increase their social movements. We believe that the social movement tool can meaningfully inform strategies to bolster successful social movements. Indeed, the true social movement arise from the present needs and harvard of large group of diverse people who is truly desire to do with the effort of wanting to achieve their goals regarding to any issues that they want to reform or influence the government policy on board issues, including the environment, nuclear energy, and nuclear weapons, and so on and so forth. So that is all for the comparison and contrast of pressure group and social movement between China and Malaysia, and we hope that our reflection of the lesson can contribute to your knowledge and understanding about the significant roles, opportunities, and the challenges of pressure group and social movements in China and in the ASEAN member states such as Malaysia. Thank you.